the founder, leading God, transformer, destroyer, unworthy occupier, destroyer, perfect equilibrium, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, survivor, thorough for the world, supreme guide of human beings, teacher of all sentient beings. To you, the perfect end for your way to come, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, glorious conqueror, the subduer of the shackled clan. I prostrate make offerings and beg for refuge to the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond profound destroyer, the complete independent fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Siddhartha, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings, teacher of all sentient beings, to you the complete end for your way to come, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, glorious conqueror, subduer of the shackled clan. I prostrate, make offerings, and beg for refuge. We know supreme amongst you that you are born and deserve. You cast out sin and strife, then say, I have sinned. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame and grace to the three worlds, giver of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With supreme sight, excellent force, power like gold, to you I prostrate. Thus three like you, three worlds are not. Incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The senior having great compassion, the founder having all understanding, with yielding merit and qualities like a vast ocean, to you the one God vastness I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from allurements, the one heart, the sublime reality, to the non-capacity wise I prostrate. Those who are liberated enter also shackled paths to liberation, the wholly pure qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the law of precepts. To you, the sublime community intended virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all free and profound homage, to all worthy of respect, boundless bodies that spring as four realms and as all aspects. With supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, the flame of a lamp. An illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble. A dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the faults and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. To page 15 for the Heart of Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the archangel of death. Thus did I hear at one time, the Bhagavan was telling of my sublotus mountain in India, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in concentration on the magnificent phenomena called profound perfection. All men at that time the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Arahant, Ishvara, looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of purification, then the venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arahant Ishvara. How should any son of the living stray who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that when the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the venerable Shariputra, Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness.
No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the endpoint of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly classifies all suffering should be known as the truth, since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared Tayata, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhisattva. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well, said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice a profound perfection of wisdom just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoiced. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadvatiputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those surrounding in their entirety along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. To page 25 for the short mandala.
不是只是没到达，对了，那些你的三界心的灭的恶瓦耶，这个南大心拉就把手。Lama tampa kenan ki chögö kala kenze chichine chittar zambe dushe zemala sake chögö chapa patu so. Ida guru rana mandala kamiliyataya. Sanje chodan soje chonan chancho pado tani chapsu chi dage jejen jebe sonam ji chola penche sanje chobarasho. Sanje chodan soje chonan la chancho pado tani chapsu chi dage jejen jebe sonam ji chola penche sanje chobarasho. Sanje chodan soje chonan la chancho pado tani chapsu chi dage jejen jebe sonam ji chola penche sanje chobarasho. Ganga zaze nyisame tawa duje pame chire tambe shine denze. Bodam de la jaze la donye nyuje sonde jebe la chije senze kanje dende. Chana be ma denze jaze la sowa de zo shinde lundush. Kanden zawe la ma rambo shen tabi chiguro pende den shune kode chimbe kone jisone. Ozondo je ngudo ze do so. Haye dang zo kunlong kumchi jagindarwa. Haye. Kunlong di da terine chebujing yangja. Susu lunga ge gewa kaan cheba di simji shen la pemba bashi yongya. Diyang simji shen ji diji tutu ya. Simji shen ji diji tuwa la. Da susu diji korwa. Rwa simji shen gi dungi sewa la tangpo susu dungi sema duna shen dungi se tu marwa. Di seya ge tablam di sanje nyaji la di chi dungi ne. Che di shao simje tamje shi di sanje kuma tawa shi di chi di ne. Dibong gandrup che di chi di ta tering zinda di nyingi yu sambe kone gulung ma dindi se tab shio sra. Yeah. Correcting the attention. Again, we have the opportunity. We should direct our virtues of body and speech solely for
sentient beings' well-being. And well-being also that in order to effect that, oneself has to have ultimate well-being oneself, because if you cannot remove your own sufferings and difficulties, you cannot remove those of other living beings. So with that thought, one aspires to become awakened, to become a Buddha, to benefit sentient beings. And to do that, you need to purify and collect a store of merit. To that end, one will listen to this class with motivation.
Hoya, ta kawa gomro, haran stiring, ne lamrimgi. Chanjuk sim jidang rimba. Tuki chungwa di kewa sangwa yin tinwa.
Now rejoice that one has the fortune again to listen to these sequential steps by which we generate the mind of enlightenment. Fortunate in that regard, rejoice.
Hoya, tang zo tiring zinda tamarwa.
Yeah.
Ale ta konzo kashiya jiki tuwa di, lengi di gyabdo wata di kiya chido. Ta chunang zo kashiya tanda di tuwa lengi gyabdo wata, lengi do sangma pe yagu do sirwa, lengi yagu gyabsha sirwa.
You can say that. So thank you for everyone who answered the questions to the exam. They were answered well.
Dene da nganzo tiring tari nganzo zo ni zinda dine nala zo chanju ki sim. Shenbian chanju ki sim sayada, shenbian chanju ki sim sayada nganzo digi duya ke ta zawa shegi yorirwa.
Yeah.
Ta de sungpa na shin tuanle nguyo nizu chagi yorir nga ranzo kazo yogi rwa shenbian ki sim yobayi na tela denbe ane rang dewa, shen dewa, rang shen rosum tsangma ane dewa yung tang kabo, yagbo 니 정말 다시 용거 요래다. 신변기 심 가지고 야고 요 잠그러. 디당의 내주래다. 제가 사과도 난과 산지에 숑 대과 준비를 주. 다저도 마셔지 되게네. 줘봐. 처음에 봤어야 돼. 닝지 준비를 남게 줘지. 지기요래. 닝지 전부 써야 돼. 심지 신지 동에 텐도게 자와. 신배 chanju semge ne gyabden yuden yojila joba tsawa mewa sin shigi yorwa shezan di indu di da meze nange nega gu digi da tadu gu digi duya la ta mena meden yo gu gyuza zojik chagi yorwa esrwa.
This is the last in our series of classes. Essentially, we are looking at the cultivation, this class, of the mind of enlightenment, bodhicitta, which really is the thought for or concern for others' welfare, the beneficial intention. It is the root of all well-being when we talk about final well-being, as it is taught. To the extent that it is taught, in reality, we do our best to cultivate that beneficial intention of concern for others' welfare, because if we can do that, then things go well for self and other. There's this general well-being, and it is a reality, but also in the context of Buddha Dharma, in terms of the great vehicle set out by Shakyamuni Buddha. The very notion of the method of non-harming coming from great compassion. So uncontrived thought to bring others to Buddhahood with compassion as its support. And if we can practice that in this life, then in a temporal sense, in an ultimate sense, that's the main thing. That's the root of well-being. Yes.
다 신변기 심 개침부 이나요. 아니 심디 깨단게 탑람디게 숨고 요래 따르와.
Right.
징네 심 깨단게 탑람디게다 그진에 건서 아니 신도되니 이 심지에 시도와. 심 기준을 세제. 아니 당념네 마체 마신 틴틴 틴소 이완 정말 학삼 시제. 어디에 도인 바기지?
Yeah.
디게데 아니 심지에 시도 바당 심 기준을 써야 되나라. 림바디게데 다 세부 쉽지. 말아서 수수 삼로 땅투나 다 뭐네지. 다 유된 조지다. 뭐네 송구도 와서로.
Yes. Now, of course, generating such a thought of enlightenment is important, mind generation. But we need to know the method, the steps. How does one generate such a mind? We've been through that in terms of the basis or the foundation of such a mind and then its actual production. So in terms of the basis, we looked at equanimity, impartiality to all beings, recognizing them as mother, how they've been kind, they wish to repay the kindness, loving kindness, great compassion, and then superior thought, giving rise to the actual, those last three giving rise to the actual bodhicitta. So as we can hear on that method and practice it, that is it. Best.
다 된대기 탑란디게디 냠렌체니 어느 천주의 심 율을 깨워 여러배스와 티워 당고다로 남배슈는 티워 먹고 당고로 오늘 지나로 아니 된대기 탑란 저다 툭 돌아다 디제르기니 냠렌체월 되네 이 천주의 심 무스게 여러배스 티워 티위나 딜레가다 티워 딜레 Lendo dujamna yores ta.
Right. And then in that context of the method for generating bodhicitta, the awakening thought, the question would come, can you actually do such a thing? Can you generate such a mind? There are lots of questions in Buddha Dharma, aren't there? Lots of questions. So therefore, the method for generating ultimate well-being is that, if you had asked the question, is that directly possible? Is it doable in reality? Affirmative. Yes, you can do it.
제가다 딜라 빼셔 빼는 나 빼대야 여러분 example 여러분이나 요래 대변이 줄라 산제 좀 된데 장주고 심 줄을 계제 산제 고마토 아니 단다 자가게다 빈도지 공부를 땅 반대 나와 타고다 저지 반대 어디샤다 나랜데겠다 개버도 창마 장주고 심 줄을 계사와 전야래 되러로.
And then the question is, are there examples of beings who have actualized the mind of enlightenment, produced it? In the case of Buddha Shakyamuni, Nagarjuna, Atisha, Sire, Chandrakirti. Yeah, so a lot of practitioners from Nalanda, Pandits, who generated such a mind. Right.
가담 기시다 시우든데 여러 그저 여러 숨어 많이 버제 그저 빼저 숨시장 요도서 단당한도 냠년체 여러
Right. So then, in Tibet, in the four traditions, many accomplished yogis manifested the mind of enlightenment. The Kadampa practitioners, for who their main practice was bodhicitta, the Kadampa gishis, they did it in deed. We follow the advice of their texts. Yeah. Yeah. How are those mind training texts relating to generating bodhicitta? The 8 verses of thought transformation, this condensed 7 steps of mind training, and then the 37 practices of bodhisattvas.
심지강에 채로 쇼 증거세 되고차 채로 심지강에 채로 돌아 도대도 와 가서나 치기 벤조여je 도연지 심지강에 채로 도도 삼노다마신이라 제가 네인도다 델라야 아니 펜도 메인로데 다 로종이 고도들와 로 먼저 쟁에 남도 채워서로 되자 남도 채워 시단 남도 채워 나자 남도 채워로 파제 남도 채워 오다 지 갱에 뭐 가리인 뭐 탐제는 심지야 그 탐람을 지야 근데 다 쉬우던데 누가 와
Particularly now in this time when mental difficulties increase a lot, commensurate with outer development of wealth are mental difficulties if we think about it. So the medicine, for that, the mind training, how to turn adversity into the path, how to transform afflicted desire into the path, how to transform anger into the path, sickness, obscurations, all of that is within the mind training framework.
제가 오늘네 되었다. 나는 대회 내줄다 망고도 없어. 나 단다 여러 배서로 와. 되어. 대회 내줄다 게다 쇼든데 중시하스 대회 내줄로 와. 야갈래 중시하 별로 중시하 망고 중시하. 나 단다 여러 배. 단다랑 여러 배서는 내 여러 배. 단다 배디야 여러 배 땅으로.
Then the question comes again, if there were a lot of those kind of practitioners in the past, India, Tibet, is it still valid this very day? Do they exist? Yes.
당연히 용다게 단다 자오르무시 장주쌤 귤레 여송고도 알아다. 제산디 다 곰송거리. 곰나 지기도 세제만 오늘에는 좀 된데 네 디나라다 두베나라 똑같이나 셰초고요 말이로.
Okay.
네다 자오르무진기 가자던 고발스네. 아니 내가 똑같이 예스다. 장주쌤 귤레 지대 예스. 송고도 알아. 제산다 장주쌤 귤레 제외 여송고도 많이 봐. 기대 예배 따네 지그 지그 심진기 동에다 빼제난기 책이 근데 심진기 동에다 셰운디네 슈미 류지 보다 미기 추마다 된대기 쳐버려 아니 하고도 있잖아다 뭔가지 제 여러분 제다 하고 그래로 배지 컬서 그래 지금 맨다지 열다 간다 지 컬서 그래 세상은 이제 두저다 데르바 다 데르서 왜 단다네 단된서도 봐다 근데 망고 열다 지나서 봐도다네 여도 성구 말들래 여에 따던데 열다 로
Okay.
두저다 단다 여버 심버디 대야 열에 생각으로 단다이나
So that relevance of those practitioners there now, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, having meditated and produced the mind generation of the awakened thought of bodhicitta, although, even Buddha said that Buddha cannot transfer such realizations to us, in terms of His Holiness, not only produced it, but the signs are there. For example, when teaching on the text that relates to suffering sentient beings, tears often come to His Holiness's eyes. You can see, and some of you have seen him and taken teachings can see that. And also in Sarah Drapen-Gundam, a lot of practitioners that wouldn't say they have generated such a mind, but there are signs that they have.
세상다 대인도 아니 당연한지 두저인지 신내 야보다라 아니 단다 깨져 셰셰셰 다티 직시 갈래 좀 여러 팬도르지 여러 가시 튕기로 아다 디베이트 부디즘 가르다 셰야 마무시세 도모데야 마무시도세 디자미고 뭐 감는 되게요라
Yeah.
뭐네 데데 감는 되나 아니 사심 예지다 가고 요래다
Yeah. So it is good to know of the valid results that are possible to achieve, because otherwise it seems to be like a lot of talk. In Tibetan Buddhism, you recite a lot, you talk a lot, you do all this, and people start to complain, oh, there's so much there. But once the complaining starts, it's difficult to generate mind of enlightenment.
그래서 샘제하게 규진식 송럽록 받으다로 배절럽존 시야데 샘제하게 규진조지로
Yeah.
샘제기 규진조지 되다로
Yeah, because really, to generate such an uncontrived thought of enlightenment, the main causes and conditions are that one has to study the treatise, the text.
세상은 좀 된데기 기독 치기요라 그래서 좀 된데 기독 인자 좀 된데지 아니게 마션션제도 럽존치 다제치 럽존 마션나 다제치도 말아 봐 럽존 제발랑 그래서 태우고 봐 셰고 봐 제가 네가서 좀 된데 깔라렌다고 요래
So it was Shakyamuni Buddha himself who said to the students, well, don't just accept what I say, study, because without studying what I've said, how can you thoroughly check it? So we're at that level of having to listen to it.
와지 럽존 마션나는 신기 말아 봐 마션나 좀 된데 깔라 다제치 연구 말아 봐
Yeah.
근데 내 깔라 내 셰워디 이제치 말아 다제치 송도로
Yeah. Because without studying and knowing, how can we possibly follow or know what the Buddha said and have conviction and faith in it? Because that was Buddha's basic advice. Check, thorough.
근데 인도다 기승네 준대명아 등 당뇨 마신 텐텐해서 영원 정말 학삼 뒤에도 들었으면 뭐지 다 준대명아 다 셈게베 데부디 가르스나 어네 셈 데부 준대명아 등세 다 유튜브단 데부직으로 와
Yes.
데부디 가르스나 셈게래서 와 제가 셈게 대조람지 중심이 돼서 다 셈게스네 셈게스 가르 셈자게 봐 셈게스야 돼 셈게스야 돼 단단한저 셈데 가르스나 먼저 쓰지고 감대한데 걸어 다대파 야채로 당 거로 해서 쓰지고 많이 버시잖아요 수수틸이 얘기 미 얘네 된도 도스체제 도와 안데 내주는 도와를 셈제 탐제라 봐 안에 디기도야 상당한데 얘네 셈게스야 돼 특디 백호기 첨보래서
So now we have been studying these steps on the way to producing such thought of enlightenment, the awakening heart of enlightenment. So we started, and we went through those. We've been going through these 7 points. There's 6 causes and 1 effect, beginning with recognizing beings as being one's mother, their kindness, the wish to repay, feeling close, affectionate warmth to them all, and then great compassion, superior thought. Now comes to the result of which is the mind generation itself, and it is called vast. It is called vast. The mind generation is called a vast mind because it is not just about me. You increase your view and make it very vast. So first you start with those around you, then extend it out to all beings like animals, and then finally you focus on the well-being of each and every living being. That's why it's vast.
지난다나 심지 세야디 심지 그런 뭐도 심지 칙디 지로
Yeah.
지난 전주의 심세야디 가르스는다 계주 니샹 거로 계주 칙디 가르스나 아니 당근어서다 심지 탐제 라 니린 차단이다 당뇽다 심지 던제랑 마신뇽바시 틴딘 틴소 윤점을 항상 닝지 시행돼 심지 탐제 동에데 태와데 다가 책이 대화단 템바데 다가 책이 세야게 심디 레라다 디요는 다가 지게는 다를 누워도 따오라다 수수 예 심지 신지 동에 되는 나라는 누워도 게로 당연한 누워 심지 신지 동에 봐 잡샤제 수수 동에 단다 매워서 두면도 알아 수수 하고라 당알라 예 심지 신지 동에 다가 예 지기인지 나 지기는 알라 누워도 따오라다 먼저 방고질라디 배샤 되기 된되기 요는 예 되기 수수 배샤 걸어다 수수 배샤면은 예 되기 럽드는 핑 말아 제자다 수수를 누워면도 왔다 다수를 누워도 따연되네 다 벤조다 대성문지 땅고라 양생양상 간도 상상을 간도 배샤디다 유나다 상마 두도고를 상상하지 레용도 와 제자는 배샤게다 심지신지 동에 세두고도 해로 상당하다 배샤가 동에 세두고 유나 배샤 유니 상마 배 기우용 거를 배샤 유니 상마 삼범마지어데 차르시도 왔지 마제 쳐와
양치어도
마제 쳐와 아니 tenjubewa ngamda chewa thoba chewa ani moguya nyanga de peje besha manga de zolo ni moguya de manga yesere samsandwa ko chashiko oranga de besha de ne am besha de maru de soro de soro de paten chu de soro shtamurada chesa besha ge dunge seju pa jaje samdamashina dunge marta yanga to samdamashina ro ne ko dunge ge yuro chaya ge nyanga do 지도에다 시고라다 신경도 하고 요라라.
So that's just words talking about the generation of such a mind and going through the steps as we have been, beginning with having an impartial mind to all living beings. Not holding some close and others distant, no disregarding, and then going into recognizing each one being your mother, how kind they've been, wish to repay, being close, on up into great compassion. And here, this superior resolve, superior thought. This is not just a wish, this is I will do it. I will do what? I will place beings in ultimate bliss they're bereft of and free them from suffering they're experiencing. But then the question comes, is it practical? Can you do it? Do you have the potency to do that? You have to ask yourself that question. Are you at a level to place all beings in that state of bliss? Well, if you think about it, you can't even help your own self be free of your problems in an ultimate sense and place yourself in bliss. So how can you possibly think that you can do it for others? Similar that if you have the thought to offer a beggar money, first you have to check whether you have money or not to give. If you don't have that money to give, you don't have the potency to fulfill that wish to give. Then the question comes, who has the potency to remove the suffering of all living beings? And we might think sometimes, if I'm well off enough financially, that's enough to remove the suffering of beings. But often that can become a condition for more difficulties if we go down that track. Like we can get more pride, we can get more worry, more doubt. and we're always having more plans, plans to and fro, pay this here, get this back here. So there, we have to be aware of that.
세상 네 다신다 파샤네 로 팅두기 모던게 멤버들스 매버 소도 그래 다 심기 동에도 파샤제 류지 동에 매버 소도면도 알아
And then, let's look now at doctors. Are they able to remove the suffering of sentient beings' minds and physical problems? Let alone mind, doctors can't even relieve physical sufferings, is it?
다 제네니 다좀보 고마탐네와 코바방베 방바 다좀보 탐네 다좀베 고마시 토베 이능에 심지 동에 세든 다좀베 고마탐나 라니 뉴몽베 다 방바담 레메시지게 시디비 디버 방메베 인자 시제 디버스디 레다 렌데그 남샤 타시 타워 시베다 디시기 요마로 디 다좀베 렌데그 남샤 타시 타워 디 시도문도 제가 디마시베 이나 심진기 배 몇바다 감다 몇바다 저도 신기해요 말아. 그 대주진데 딜을 정을 해야 되고 여러 대마시나네. 비교 동에도 세도 동에서 동에 유디 치고 여러 유디 하고 여러.
Okay.
제가 니인디다 대신이 수요래서 산재기다 두종게 최탐제 무슨 데치 렌데가 남자 타시 더 신기해요 인자. 그래서 다저도 마셔지 되게 남다라 따베이나네 누가 들어와 겨와 망고 그냥 된다단다 레든데지라든 두부든데 총으로 된데서 겨와 배 동라 티다 붐다 뭐라 레사베 두부 탄다 미르든데 송야도 하셔다 그저 남샤도 다좀 메신도고요 말와 제가 아니 뒤제 컴다 메벌 다네 탄다 좀 된데다 산제 네 로니다 니돈 투제 도고요레들 탄다이나 간졸라 잠블링들라 베 미망고게 문버 세투고도 알아. 먼저 말한 적이 깔래 자투이나 락저로도 데드도 같은데로 제가 쉬우지 깨워상고 오늘에 다 된대 상단은 먼저 깨워상고 쉬우지래다 알아. 지다 지기 전에다 닝마래다 뒤닝마 심지 닝마래 지다 전에 말한 줄이야 믹세게 깨워상고 아니 믹세에 단다 겨울음 시스네 송주 슈토가 겨울음 시스네 제가 슈 저차 말한 줄 믹세게 디 먼저 딱 먼저 길루디 딱 겨울음치니다 유나메나 섹투로 차대라 겨울음치기다 그래서 그래 럼니나사 진조다 점블링라 최 냐니다 디냐투스르스 로다 롭존 체니 냐그르메시 지금 뭐바 체니 냐투 마레스 바타 롭존 체니 냐디 탄다 댄스 숨나라다 중앙가 롭존 체디 여인자디 디 군두기다 베디 시버지기다 베 제노로지 차대요 요로 나라도 딘데질라 아니 대화차도 딱 깨워서 뭐 쉬우지 임바디 시오래로
Then if one were to ask, could an arhat, a foe destroyer, who is liberated from cyclic existence, are they in a position to help all living beings limitlessly? Well, if you have removed the gross levels of disturbing emotions and afflictions, you are free from cyclic existence. But what remains are the subtle level, the subtle obscurations that prevent full awakening in Buddhahood. So although you're out of samsara, you still cannot see the karmic proclivities, the dispositions and interests of sentient beings. And, without being able to see the subtle workings of cause and conditions, behavioral cause and effect of each and every living being, you cannot possibly help them. Because to remove the suffering of living beings, you have to be able to see the causes of it. So the arhats cannot see like the past causes of karma, but Buddha can see the subtle working of cause and effect in its entirety. So since Buddha attained awakening and since 2,600 years how many beings have been helped with that ability of seeing what sentient beings need. And it is like amazing that it's dispelling the darkness. It's like dispelling the darkness, the light, dispelling the darkness that sentient beings are experiencing. The tools for that, the method for that. So therefore, it is amazing. On the one hand, yes, the time is quite degenerate and dark. But on the other hand, we have met and connected with such beings as His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who heads the Gelug tradition, and in the world really is like holding the Dharma, and who points to holding of that Dharma not just from belief but with study, and that's how the three monasteries approach it. So His Holiness says that's very important. So we've had the great fortune to connect with that. We should know that. Rejoice in that. Sorry. Yeah.
최상 대신 내도 다 산제지 된대기 누바 요나 땅에 심지신지 동에 녀세버 지야라 다 산제 공부 토고도 세 어두슬리게 왔다.
Right. So if a Buddha has that potential to bring about, to alleviate sentient beings' suffering, then the next thought must be, I must become a Buddha, logically.
진짜들 랑데 신도 되니 dum바데 신동에를 텐도게 껴버도 되어봐.
Yeah.
아니 랑데 되니 dum바데 신동에를 껴버치 둘둘 셰셔나다. 신동에 심제 탐제 동에를 태워다 디지 토비하게 치도 라니 조베 산제지 공부 토바지 산제 공부 토에 코랑 심제 신지 되니 바데 신고로.
Okay. So therefore comes firstly, when you think of concern about removing the suffering of others, concern for others' welfare, but in order to bring that about, the second intention comes in that you must be awakened to do that. So therefore, the awakening thought has as its cause concern for other.
다 심 제가 심제반을 단다디 심제반의 신도지 양다즈의 주주되어서도 되다 심제반의 신도지 양다즈의 신주 되어서다 도그라나는 대단디네디 dü나지에 권내 주송으로 되나라야 단다디 심제디 먼저진데 도그 되어라 진짜 심제반의 신도지를 심제바들라 심제사데 심제 뭐지 신도치 양다즈의 신주되서도 그 제주니티 책으로 심제 신제 되는 신동에라 심제 탐제 동에를 잡에치도 아니 양다즈의 신주되서 라니 조가 산지 고마토가 되고 인사데 다디 슝게 나네 대용도 하셔다 먼저디 똑같게도 슝단 틈바지 거래서 군두 가도 있는 순고도 어디래다
Therefore, the twofold intention, concern for others' welfare, the thought to awaken with that in mind. So with the thought of others, then comes the second point, to awaken with that in mind. So firstly, one thinks on the suffering of others and strives for enlightenment. Secondly, to bring that about, removal of that suffering. So therefore, just as His Holiness says, as it's laid out in the texts, insights accrue just like that.
이상다 된데게 심딜라 아니 조제당 조메스 당군이 용거라 조제세야데 배전신에 당조 배전신 제당조 배전신 상무다다 당고댕에라 윤대 명아데 유대 당념네 마신 tindi티서 용원청 락산 디제디 상무당고 이제 상무당 안데 상무당 외치라네 다시 섬제 산제 공부 토바치기 스스스는 배전신에 예지 용고였대 배전 집에 내가를 아니 배전메디 매버차로 거라 대디 심지 진이 참 말해서로 이나디 개천 버렸다
So it is important to know that this mind of enlightenment has like a contrived level and an uncontrived level. So uncontrived where it becomes spontaneous. So we have to go through those steps of equanimity, mother, recalling the kindness, repaying the kindness, right up to generation of bodhicitta, going for Buddhahood. So although with with effort, it's not it's not bodhicitta in an uncontrived sense. It's not strictly bodhicitta by definition.
다 심지에 가지고 거스는다 좀 많이 봐지 좀 많이 있으나 파 배점 맞춰비네 아니 즉 심지 심지 대외 풍대로시네 대화의 tem부터 디지털과 산재 공부도 아니 동해 나도죠 아 동해의 대외시는 거 산재 공부도 지금서 근데 지금 남산배에 삼마마다니 야 지금 심게요 배낭 말한저 칼라 저거도 칼라 남산 태행도 어디나 싫어 집에 심지에 동해의 대화 다그지 디지털 산재 공부도 지금 아니 대외 풍대로 통데 아디다 두저 대화의 tem바징에 지금 디지털 산재 공부도 지금 두 로디 아니 된대지 좀 많이 봐서 기회 내가 아니 심지 진이 상어래서
What then is the fulfillment of the definition of that mind generation of bodhicitta? It is unfabricated, uncontrived, and effortless. So when you see beings that are bereft of final well-being, final happiness, or you see them suffering, automatically the thought comes, I will place them in final well-being and remove their suffering and its causes. You don't think about it, just as naturally when you're hungry you eat. It would be as normal as that.
그다음에 근데 심기니 아니 심지 뭐들 멤버 심지다 주버 심지 신이 거라 당보도 멤버 심지에서는다 최대 주버 심지 탐제지 산지 공만 터바치기 나란 산지 공만 터바치기 있어야 돼 다라래로 딜 멤버 심지에서 그렇다
And there is, to generate such a mind, aspiring bodhicitta and engaging or entering bodhicitta. Aspiring bodhicitta, you have the resolve, I will place all beings in Buddhahood. You aspire to it.
배나 먼저 디네 오글렌이야 도 되어야지 여러분 나 오글렌은 도긴 있니 봐
Yeah.
다내 돈도 그 로타제 상마체 된 거죠 여러분 도 되어버려 다 타제 산에 디네야지 디가 디녀에다 랑가네 마담 돈이 모델로 도야 나센도 도야 저라다
Yeah.
디다 주버심지래 셈제는 줘발라 줘버서야 돼 당보 도 되든 저디 아니 제 멤버심지지 아니 돈에 다 람라 죽제야다 올랜란 도고 열어 하지만 올랜레스는 아니 데부타두라데 왔다 지메 멤버심지 죽 아니 셈제 사회제라 아니 줘발라 죽이네 아니 줘바 가르라고서는 진소 파진 두고 냠내라 로고 열어 냠내체 디 냠내 제월 때네 아니 산지지 고마 레고 열다 어디
So, aspiring and entering bodhicitta, the analogy of the thought or wish to go to Auckland would be the first level of aspiring to go, but then you actually get the ticket and go on the road, from Nelson, whatever. And when you reach your destination, Auckland, you've entered and engaged. And when you enter and engage, one begins to practice the six perfections, such as the wish to give, the paramitas, and so forth.
어디 멤버 셈기 다 셈기니 줘발로면서 주고받다 디네마 제메 다 제메 코스트는 거서 다 짐바 수준 서버스 디네마 레도를 배진 두스 도샤는 뜨문도 배진로
Yes. So in terms of generating that aspiring bodhicitta and entering into the deeds or the practice of the six perfections, perhaps we could leave that till next semester season.
야, 다 드린 먼저 진짜 담아대 소인자. 다디 그런서 디버르라다 다원이지 여러 딜라다. 지 이제 당념내마 지 전주심사고배. 주는 님마다고를 님마리레나라 찾아미샤지. 때문에 아니마니 숨 당념고 님마니 숨 심제담제랑 마시바 마틴데 tinso 도스마 그도스 곰잡제네. 자나 갈래갈래 곰네네. 지 곰자된 찍나라 상모 상모단도야 근데 용거라 근데 샤곰체노 당보 샤곰자야 돼 삐케지므로 와
Now we have a 2-month break. So it is good. If you can meditate on the mind of enlightenment day by day basis, as you can, or perhaps you could do 2 days on equanimity, and then 2 days recalling each being your mother, and then 2 days or 3 days on how in that context they've been kind, so that each of the steps becomes a habit for you. You are acquainted with it, and then you can do what's called a glance meditation on all of the steps.
일단 람림 디 샤르곰 자고 당보 샤르곰 세야 돼 람림 곰 세야 돼 당보 샤르곰 자고라.
Yeah, so when we talk about meditating on the graduated path to enlightenment, we're talking about glancing over the steps and knowing what are the steps.
야, 따디 제딩 어서 드린 남는 뒤뒤인데 마지 로들 와. 어제 디 참디 셔딩에 식디 되었죠. 디서블로 심지 티저 남지 슝신디 세스도 주어침벨람데 디서고 참샤다니 디되었죠. 는 디원만 로도.
Right, so yeah, so where we are on the text to remind us for next time is identifying the spirit of enlightenment, which is the essence of the training, the fruit of the training. So that's page 48 of Lamrim Chenmo, just to remind us.
Yeah,
I think that's the third volume. Second volume, sorry, yeah. Now we can recite the condensed Lamrim, Hymn of Experience.
네 콘도 디 타제간 니니데 저런서 베제메나 디 니인데나 야고요.
Those online, if you don't have the text in front, just listening is good.
Coffee dungi.
Take it with a coffee.
Oh yeah.
I bow my head
Foremost of the Shakyas, whose body is formed by 10 million perfections, whose an excellence, whose speech fulfills the hopes of transmigratory beings, whose mind perceives all objects of knowledge. Sport in innumerable universes, assuming the responsibility of all you are the supreme self of the fearless teacher. I prostrate Arjuna is the Sangha, who compose commentaries in accordance with the intention on the mother of conquerors so hard to fathom. Abhayata Tipankara Pratisha, holder of the treasury of instructions, that gathers together the important points, completely and unmistakably.
Gebe gomba de la nyewa da nye chimbo yansa le jansa tije kende de me gebe da ma chi kiwo sumye la yeren ba ira me da
Moved by compassion, clarify the supreme entry, fortunate traveling to liberation, the stages of the path to enlightenment, the excellent lineage handed down from Nagarjuna and Sangha, and banners of flame resplendent among transmigratory beings. This instruction, the King of Powerful Jewels, fulfills all the desired aims of the 9 types of beings, is an ocean of glorious and excellent explanations, gathering the rigors of it. Through it you can realize that all teachings are without contradiction, understand the scriptures as an instruction, easily find the intention of the conqueror. What analytical person would not be captivated by the stages of the path of the 3 types of beings? Hearing a single session deliberately gathers great waves. Simple benefits of explaining or listening to the Holy Dharma. On the holy spiritual friend, the teacher of the path, and the foundation perfectly bringing auspiciousness. So collections of this and future lives. And please stand in the offering of practice to the Zen instruct. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. This body of leisure, all precious and a wish fulfilling tool, find but once. Having reflected in this way, realizing that all worldly activities are like ordinary chaff, you must take its essence day and night. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Although there is no certainty that after death you will not be reborn in the bad migrations, the three rare sublime ones will definitely protect you from this fear. Therefore, steadfastly take refuge in them and never degenerate the precepts. In addition, think well about the results of black and white actions and depend on the correct practice of not to be rejected. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way. Until you attain a body with pure characteristics, you will not make progress in your practice of the Supreme Path. Causes for becoming free of bliss. Certified by negative actions, time, force, and stains. It is particularly important. Aspirations. Therefore, continuously cherish reliance on purification of all forces. You, the perfect if you do not put effort into contemplating true sufferings, the faults of samsara, you will not develop the wish for liberation. If you do not contemplate true origins, the steps for entering samsara, you will not understand how to come to its therefore, rely on weariness, definite emergence from samsara, and cherish the knowledge of abiding from samsara. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Degeneration of the mind is the central question of my the basic support of a philosopher's stone transforming all into two collections, a treasure of merit gathering infinite virtue. Having understood this, the heroic children of the conquerors maintain deeply the pledges of the precious Supreme Path. You, the perfect guru, practice in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Generosity is the wish fulfilling tool, satisfying the hopes of transmigratory beings. The supreme reason, not miserliness. The activity of the children of the conquerors strengthens courage without dismay. And the basis of being renowned is liberation. Having understood this, wise rely on the excellent path of giving away their bodies, possessions, and virtue. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Morality is water cleansing the stains of faulty behavior. Moonlight dispelling the hot torment of affliction. Suspended is not mirror, midst of the nine types of beings. It gathers all transmigratory beings. Having understood this, holy beings guard the reality correctly taken as they do their eyes. You, the perfect guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Patience is the finest ornament of the well, supreme of all hardships, counteracting the torment of the afflictions, the Garuda against the enemy, the snake of hatred, and thick armor against the weapon of harsh speech. Having understood this, cultivate the armor of supreme patience in many ways. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. When you don armor like effort, steady and immovable, the qualities of scripture and realization will increase like a waxing moon. All your behavior becomes meaningful, and whatever actions are undertaken will be accomplished as desired. Having understood this, the conqueror's children put forth billowing waves of effort, dispelling all laziness. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Concentration is a king ruling the mind. When placed, it is immovable as Mount Meru. When set forth, it engages all virtuous objects.
It induces the great bliss of the service of body and mind. Having understood this, the lords of yogis rely continuously on the meditative stabilization that destroys the enemy, distraction. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. Wisdom is an eye seeing profound thusness, the path eradicating the root of existence, a treasury of qualities praised in all the scriptures, and renowned as the supreme of the lamps dispelling the darkness of ignorance. Having understood this, the wise who desire liberation generate the path with much effort. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. One-pointed concentration alone is not considered to be able to cut the roots of samsara. Wisdom separated from the path of calm abiding will not avert the afflictions no matter how much you analyze. Having mounted the
wisdom that reflects on the real mode of existence,
upon the horse of steadfast calm abiding, with the sharp weapon of the logic of the middle way free of extremes, destroy all mental fabrications grasping at extremes. With vast wisdom analyzing in this way,
increase the wisdom that realizes suchness.
You, the perfect Guru,
Practiced in this way.
I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way. The meditative stabilization
achieved by one-pointed meditation
is not enough. With the individual
investigation of proper analysis, generate the meditative stabilization that abides firm on the mode of existence.
Having seen this, understand how wonderful are those who endeavor to accomplish
the union of calm abiding and special insight. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way.
I, who am seeking liberation, will
also practice in this way. In meditative equipoise, emptiness is like space.
In post-meditation, emptiness is like an illusion. Through meditation on both
method and wisdom are unified, whereby the perfect conduct of the conqueror's children is praised. Having realized this, the tradition of those of good fortune
is not satisfied by the path alone. You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way.
Having generated the common path necessary for the two supreme Mahayana paths,
the causal and resultant, rely on a protector, a skillful master, and enter the great ocean of the classes of Tantra. Then, through reliance on the complete and perfect instructions, make the
attainment of your leisures and endowments meaningful.
You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way.
Due to the virtue from explaining in clear words
the perfect complete path pleasing to the conquerors, so as to familiarize my mind with it, and to benefit others of good fortune, I made the prayer.
May all transmigratory beings never be parted from the excellent pure path.
You, the perfect Guru, practiced in this way. I, who am seeking liberation, will also practice in this way.
这点小了。
We'll stop here.
So page 31 for the short mandala. Yeah.